YouTube basically aren't letting me go horizontal for whatever reason. So welcome to my backyard. We're going to be setting up the pond today, so I'm using my selfie stick. So there's going to be a little bit of unwanted jank here, unfortunately. I don't even know if I'm in the right stream. Hopefully I am. Oh no. Well, I guess I can edit this after. Hopefully. Shoot. Well, this is not a good way to start things. Anyway, yeah. We're out here. We're gonna set up the pond. Holly's here to help supervise. Good girl. So we'll just continue on like everything's normal. So try to set things back up the way I want. So essentially, I'll give you guys a quick rundown here. This is the pond. This is usually where I do a lot of my glamour shots. So I figured it'd be kind of fun to stream this out. So we're going to start scrubbing essentially the liner and then empty out the gross dirty water that's in there. I did do a bit of cleaning last night on this thing, so wasn't that bad, but we'll continue. Still really confused as to what this thing is actually doing. Okay, that was weird. I don't know what YouTube's doing. Hopefully this says okay. We'll fake it anyway. Okay. I'm just going to continue like nothing's wrong. Okay. Hopefully everything works out okay. Not exactly how I wanted to set things up at all. So hopefully it's actually in the live stream with the Spinosaurus and all that, because so far this has not gone smoothly. So now I got to set up my selfie stick, which is not the most ideal tripod setup here, in all honesty. But we'll fake it, make it work. Hopefully I can see the chat. Unfortunately, I'm not seeing a whole lot. Okay, hello, Sleepy Gojira. Or Sleepy Gojira, yep, Sleepy Gojira fan, I should say. Thanks for tuning in. Having some technical difficulties right now, so just bear with my jankiness. Unfortunately, the YouTube live stream settings aren't as good as I would hope, and I'm obviously not in my office, so I had a tripod set up over there, but for some reason, it's only letting me go this way, so we're going to try and set up my pond is kind of the idea, as long as I can get the camera set up and the cell phone out of my hand. We may have to resort to using a rock or something as a tripod, to be quite honest. But yeah, hopefully my settings are all right. I know I've tried setting this up a few times now at this point, and yeah, it hasn't gone as well as I'd hoped. So we'll get a decent angle of the pond. Hopefully the selfie stick will stay stable. Probably not. Very wishful thinking here. It would have been nice if my tripod actually worked. But yeah, what I might do, yeah, we're going to try something else. Got a little fancy table over here, so we'll use the chair with all the holes in it to make a makeshift tripod. If I can jam this thing into the holes, that should actually probably work okay. I hope. Again, I apologize, folks, for this real bad start off, but I think we're getting there. Probably should have brought more plasticine clay to make sure that's gonna stay. I have some on the cell phone though, so I'll just peel off a little bit there. And hopefully the mic quality is gonna be okay throughout this, due to the fact that I'm using my wireless headphones. I'm hoping it picks it up through there and not through the cell phone, because I'm going to be working kind of a little bit of a ways away from it, but not too far. This has not gone well. Privates. What to do? Santa Freddy Edits, thanks for tuning in. We're having some technical difficulties, but yeah, thanks for tuning into the pond stream, but so far has been me just setting up a camera. But yeah, post description will kind of explain that. I tried setting up the stream a few times now, and it just hasn't gone well. So we'll see what we can do for all of you. I think I'm gonna have to resort to just using this chair. It's not the greatest angle whatsoever, but then again, I don't want to get the phone too close to the pond either. So hopefully that's semi-okay. It's not terrible, it seems. I could probably inch it just a little bit closer. But first order of business, what is he doing? I am setting up my pond. This is, yeah, obviously quite a bit different than what I normally do, I'll admit. But this is usually where all the glamour shots take place. Right now it's not very glamorous because we're in the middle of spring, so scream. Probably not the best idea considering I'm technically in my backyard right now. I don't think my neighbors are out, but we're not gonna do that. So yeah, basically the idea here is we're gonna scrub out the liner and scrub away all the fish gunk, which is why I'm not in the cleanest of clothing, because, well, I'm probably gonna smell like a fish once I'm doing this. So I had a scrub pad kicking around. Whatever I did with it at this point is beyond me, of course, once I'm on camera. Shoot. Okay. I may have to yonder inside because I had a scrubby pad. But apparently that's gone, so let's try not to slide in there. That'll probably be humorous. I unfortunately have a habit of falling in this thing sometimes throughout the year, so I'll be right back. Yeah, hopefully my headphones have connected back in, so not using anything fancy here, just your typical scrub pad. Basically, you don't want to use like any chemicals or anything like that. Just keep it nice and natural. After all, I am putting some fish in here. This is their summer home, so to speak. Hopefully we can get this thing going in the live stream, but it might take a little bit. Probably get to the point where if it's filling up and it's taking too long, no one wants to watch that. It might take in requests and various other things while that's happening, but already smells bad. But this is usually important, maybe not necessary for pond ownership to a degree, but it generally keeps your pond scum down to a minimum. And it's just a lot easier to do this, obviously, while your pond's still being not occupied. So yeah, this is kind of my dinosaur's habitat, I guess is a good way I describe it. So welcome to my mini Jurassic Park. It's been a while since I've made a dinosaur, but I think Gojira's been out here at least once or twice too. I guess you could refer to it as Monster Island as well. Does not smell well, folks, I'll admit that. What about a quiet scream? It's a odd one. I mean, I hear kids playing in the background. You might get audible one from them, definitely. They can be pretty noisy sometimes. There's no dinosaurs to react to out here just yet. I'll admit that. Maybe if there was a Spinosaurus in my waterfalls, I would be a little more inclined to do so, but right now, we're setting up the habitat. And I guess one fun fact, the... Ooh, almost fall in the pond scum. Let's not do that. Birds generally really like this thing, so they're dinosaurs as well, from a technical standpoint. They are mini theropods, and they honestly really love the pond. They use the waterfalls as little bird baths, so I'm sure my real-life dinosaur friends will be quite happy to see this actually going, because I'm a little behind schedule. Usually it's going much earlier than this. But I was working on Shimo versus Godzilla. So I was living in my basement for about a month making that animation possible. So shameless plug, if you haven't seen that yet, obviously it's a trailer, so check that out. And hit all the buttons for that, because I believe that took over 4,000 photos and over a month to do, so now we'll do some gardening for all of you. Before I get too far in advance with the next project, Titanus and Doug. But, I said this earlier, hoping to get it done in this live stream. We'll see how long. I don't want to drag it too long, but if I don't finish it this time, we'll have another one where it's going, and then maybe a little bit more of a relaxing stream instead of me scrubbing fish poop. Maybe kind of an odd thing to be watching live on YouTube, but it has a lot to do with my content. I've noticed this pond, when I take thumbnails with my dinosaurs in particular for those videos, it does a lot better. So it's a necessary evil to the channel to a certain degree. See if I can move the cell phone just a little bit closer for all of you guys too, so I can be a little more responsive to the chat. Hello, random stuff. Thanks for tuning in. It's definitely what we're kind of doing today, I think, is a good way to describe it. It's not the typical environment we're in. It's rather fishy. Well, not fishy at the moment, but it definitely smells of fish. And I'll admit, there was a lot of work that I did on this thing yesterday, which I was hoping to stream, but the neighbors were having a small barbecue with their gardening and kid out, so I figured it'd probably be best just to put that off. Besides, I was spreading the pond scum, for lack of a better description. Gina, thanks for tuning in. But yeah, basically, yesterday I was spreading out my pond scum, for lack of a better description. All the nasty fish water into the gardens and various other plants kicking around. Because fish droppings is very high in nitrogen and various other good products, so it's good for your plants and all your gardens. So it acts as a natural fertilizer. So yeah, about a quarter of the way done scrubbing. It's coming off not too bad, luckily, even though it's been in the sun for a little bit. You can tell I live in rural Saskatchewan. There's a train kicking around. But I've noticed a lot of my favorite springtime birds have come back, so I'm really happy to try and get this thing set up as soon as possible. The name of these birds in particular may not sound very appealing. They're called cutthroats, but they're very pretty, and they have essentially like a nice red billing all around their neck, actually. Hence the name, cutthroat. Normally I like to have this set up when the juncos are kicking around, but that was probably almost like a month ago, if not sooner, when the juncos first show up. And yeah, I'm a bit of a bird nerd at this point. Juncos are just a little kind of like a house sparrow, for lack of a better description. I'm trying to get back up, but this is slippery, guys. But like a little house sparrow, just all gray. I think they're kind of cute, so. BMO, hello. Is that a train? Yes, it's a train. There's a railway track that goes straight through the small town that I live in, so it's usually kind of a race for me to beat that in my 9 to 5, unfortunately, a lot of the time. Congratulations, I guess. It's so loud. Yeah, it's actually surprisingly far. That was pretty loud. I'll admit. I have a friend that works on the railway, and he has a tendency to tell a lot of the conductors, hey, when you're going through here, make sure you give it a couple extra. And I'm like, oh, thanks, man. I appreciate that. Now all of you get to hear the same glory that I get to deal with. Luckily, it's about a couple blocks away, maybe 4 blocks away, quarter mile or so. There's one guy that has it going straight through his yard almost. I personally would hate that because it has to play with a horn in his backyard. Luckily, we're not that close. Soon there will be waterfall noises, but for now, we're just scrubbing pond scum. And what I'll probably end up doing, because a lot of this will still have that good nutrients for soil and plants, end up dumping that probably around just here so I can stay on camera. I like to try and give these bushes here are hascats, kind of a relative to blueberries, which I actually have a couple just over there. They're not blooming or anything like that right now. They're still a little dormant. Hopefully they come back. I'm not in the best of climate for them, so I'm surprised I'm able to actually grow them. But the hascats do quite well here, and there's an apple tree just back there. And the apple tree always has on and off seasons, and this is supposed to be an on season, so I'll have lots of apples, so we'll probably give him a lot of extra nutrients. My dog's out here too, so I should probably make sure she's sticking around. Well, she doesn't run away. Farthest she'll go is to the neighbor's house to play with her friend. Holly girl. Where are you, sweet pea? Oh, hello. Hi. What you doing? Oh, you got a ball. You want to come say hi? Or are you going to just stay out of sight? Just peek your nose in there? Okay. Oh, God. Where's you going, Holly? Kingzilla, thanks for tuning in. Not to our normal live stream. We're kind of in the great outdoors, but it's nice to be out of the studio for a change in the long weekend, so figured I'd stream a little bit of my garden work. This is my dinosaur habitat that we're trying to basically bring back. Nobody too. Hello, thank you for tuning in. Somebody, I guess? Or nobody? That's the real question. Suppose I don't really need these on. The sun's not that bright anymore. Although it's kind of nice to probably have that as a safety visor so I don't get any gross water splashed inside my... Oh, we have nobody too and someone actually in here. That's strange. I just noticed that. But yeah. Probably keep my sunglasses on even though it's not that bright out, just so I don't get gross fish water splashed in my face and in my eyes. Because, fun fact, when I first got my house, this pond was always here, but I've completely redone it. It had a hard liner and now have a rubber liner here, which is far better. Probably a lot of gibberish to non-pond people, but it's more expensive to a degree, but it's honestly worth it. Luckily, my parents had ponds that are way bigger than mine, and they were like, hey, we have a bunch of cutoff. Do you want this? I'm like, yeah, I'll take it. And it ended up being bigger than the pond that I already existed and had. But this rubber liner is great. You can basically, use it for ponds, all kinds of stuff for water. there's the plastic liners, but those generally have major problems with plastic hardening up, cracking, then it causes leaks. Luckily, I never had any issues like that. This stuff doesn't leak either. It's really hard to puncture. But the big issue I had with the plastic liner is all the snow runoff would basically seep underneath the liner of the pond. So I would have to stick my pond pump underneath the actual pond and pump practically a pond's worth of water out from underneath it before I could even actually get things set up. And this is actually the first springtime through this liner, and I'm happy to report there was actually nothing underneath it, so mission accomplished. Almost done scrubbing. It's not too bad, thankfully. Something that I traditionally do at least once a year here. So yeah, should always do that because, yeah, like I mentioned before, when I first bought this place, this pond was here, but it was really not maintained and extremely gross. And I don't know how else to describe it other than the fact that it just smelled like complete and utter death. And I got eczema from cleaning out my pond, so we're just gonna leave my glasses on. Luckily, I don't think it's that greasy where I would get it, but that was a bad enough experience that I just don't want to go through that again. So, yeah. That was gross. Can't emphasize how nasty that smelled. I mean, this is bad, but nowhere near to what it was like at the start of things. Okay, I'm gonna have to do some fancy maneuvers for this part. Quickly check on the chat before I scrub the rest of this stuff away. Then we can move on to the next step, which is pretty much just a quick hose off, and then we empty everything and we can start kind of filling it at the same time. I probably should have started a poll in the chat to see if bets on me falling in. I was thinking, like, what can I do for a poll on this? Well, too late now. I guess place that in your chat. Do you think I'm going to fall in the pond scum? I personally hope not, but I suppose it'd be fairly entertaining from your perspectives. Scrub off this bottom half too. Can't see what I'm really doing here, obviously, but I know there's scum down there. So we'll just kind of leave our scrubby pad around there. That way we can say we got most of it. Make my way back to the chat, see if you guys have any bets placed on me falling in. Or if I fall in my way before there. We'll see. Oh, this stuff's pretty cold still. Alright, just that back corner we have to clean off pretty much now. See if I can get out. This may look like a random pile of rocks back here, but this is actually my waterfall, so I don't want to mess this up too much. Oh god. Yeah. Okay. Made it. Ooh, Utah Raptor versus Blue. That would be actually really cool. I've always wanted to make a Utah Raptor. They're one of my favorite dromaeosaurs. Apologize if I'm slightly short of breath. Hear the bumblebees kicking around too. Yeah, a lot of the other lives are very different. Usually in a studio doing stop motion or making something. I think I'd streamed the dog walk once, but we'll probably do that again more often with Holly. She's having fun exploring the back part of our yard here. Digging like it's in Minecraft, scrubbing like it's in Minecraft. I actually quite enjoy that game. I'll have to try and get my laptop set up for gaming. I might stream some of that at some point too, because my buddy Ryan's been bugging me to do that for some time. Yeah, we're not so much digging. That part is done. I think last year I was doing most of that, setting up this entire new pond setup. So EST Gaming's official. Thanks for tuning in. Slightly different. We're outside. Definitely not a gaming setup or stream, but thanks for joining us anyway. We're out with the bumblebees today. Scrubbing away at the pond, I do say. So I'm going to scrub off this last little bit, and then we're going to hose things down real quick. Probably empty the scum as well as I drop rocks. That's another thing I'll have to do too. I'll probably do that off camera though. Scrub down some of my in the water rocks. Be very clever with my footing here. Yes. Melt away pond scum. Yeah, this is usually a part of pond ownership that a lot of people tend to neglect, I think is a good way to put it. I always wonder why is the pond never clear? You know, it's like, you gotta get in there, man. Yeah, scrub it. Yeah. Not the funnest activities, I'll admit, but I don't mind it. At least here, I'm outside. I enjoy being outdoors quite a bit. Definitely looking forward to taking a trip to probably Alberta at some point this summer. Hopefully I can do a live dinosaur dig. That'd be definitely interesting. I was hoping to get to do that last year, but unfortunately the weather did not hold out. It got a little rainy, so it got canceled. But it totally makes sense. I understand why. That stuff's very sensitive. And I mean, sure, a lot of my big fans and normal viewers are well aware that usually that kind of stuff is very sensitive when it comes out of the earth after tens or hundreds of millions of years. It doesn't take a lot to erode it, unfortunately, so even just the slightest bit of rain or heavy wind generally does not fare well for those old fossils. Oh, there's an earthworm down here. You still alive, buddy? Not that good, but just in case. Oh, that didn't work. At least he's out of the water. And I think he's dead. He's probably bird food now. Last corner here to scrub at. Oh, ow. Okay. probably have done this earlier. But I unfortunately kind of cut myself with a pair of pliers today working on Doug, the latest movie monster project, so probably should have put this glove on at the beginning, but I'm sure I'll be okay. I'll just wash my hands after the fact. Better late than never. Doug, yes. That was definitely a very highly requested project. Sure, a lot of you are pretty happy to see him. I'm definitely looking forward to doing some animations with Doug. Have a lot of creative ideas with him, but we gotta make him first. I think is the best way to put that. Best not to get too ahead of ourselves. Now, I'm gonna run away from the camera just for a short little bit, turn on the hose, and I'm gonna hose down the pond real quick. And I'm back. So we're essentially just gonna spray away a good chunk of that scum that didn't come off, and then any excess detritus. Detritus being plant matter. Fancy way of saying rotten plants. Pick up a lot of the other dirt, trying to mess up this water as much as possible before I start emptying it out with my buckets, which is usually not the fun part. Baby James, thanks for tuning in. I'm working on my pond today, so that's kind of why we're not in the studio, not the normal environment. But this is usually kind of like the glamour shots area I use for a lot of my dinosaurs, so it's my dinosaur habitat, I guess you could say. Welcome to Jurassic Park, or my backyard. What if Doug is one of the... Doug. I don't think Doug's much of a sea-bearing creature, but I'm sure he's powerful enough that he would be okay. Godzilla would definitely be happy with what we're doing here. He would be a fan of it. Well, probably next project or two we might have a couple glamour shots out in the pond, so... Call me C-Bio. C-Bio, okay, that's pretty cool. Thanks for tuning in, C-Bio. And hello to you. Thanks for tuning in, Kingzilla. I should probably get back to it because my water's starting to fill up. Might end up... Oh, God. End up using the pump. That sounds like it's a far easier and more productive way to do this. I'm probably going to end up splashing a lot of this stuff back in. Yeah. I don't want to damage my on the apple tree too much. So I'm gonna sneak around to the other side there, quick, to distribute my pond scum. Probably at least do a couple there, so give it a good nitrogen boost. I'm gonna be tired after this. Okay. Feed a couple of my cherry trees. I have a second bucket over here just off camera. Create myself a small assembly line here. Minecraft in real life is far more difficult than the video game. I'll just put that out there. Living in buckets. I guess the other game reference a person could make would be Sea of Thieves. But I'm probably not a guy you want on your team trying to make your boat not sink. Not that far in, I'm already breathing heavy. Doesn't help that the hose is going, so I'm trying to keep up to it at the same time. But this is usually the best way to flush out all that dirt and make sure your pond's gonna be as clean as possible. Probably gonna go turn off the hose in a bit, because yeah. Whew. I am no spring chicken anymore. Hey. Fan 12 speaking emojis as always, I see. Welcome to my little dinosaur island. Apologize if I'm out of breath. Slinging buckets, it's not easy. What do you? Is there a squirrel? Is that a squirrel moonlight? Oh, okay. You're talking about like my very first video post, the animation. Oh, it's going back. Okay, let me. Is there a sequel? No, there hasn't been, but I'm actually kind of flattered that you asked. I could probably make a Halloween special out of that. That'd be kind of. It's been talks of that before, where bringing back Mr. Pumpkin Man. I think is kind of like the description I have for him. I don't really have a name base for that character, so if you can come up with something clever, I'll definitely probably base that off whatchamacallit your name. But I gotta go shut off the hose before I have to sling a bunch of more water out of there. Whew, okay, I'll be back. Probably go for your adventure soon. Nice being at this too a bit. Getting a little dark though. We'll see. We'll see how things go here. We might end up streaming my dog walker. Probably need to take a few more minutes. Hi. Hello, honey. How are you, sweet pig? Me? You come to help? Kinda? Yeah. At the pond. Hey, Claymationzilla, thanks for tuning in. Actually made it on stream today. Kind of did a little bit of work on this yesterday, but probably a good thing I ended up not streaming it because it's just slinging around pond scum all day. So I was back and forth quite a bit. Plane crashes Zilla. Is that what your name is? Plane crashes Zilla. Okay, interesting. Thanks for tuning in. That's, yeah, interesting name. I think you've been here before a few times. I remember struggling with that one. Hey, have fun with playing Roblox there. Guess I'm doing my own version in real life, playing Build a Pond. Yes, yeah, I recognize that name. I was like, yeah, I've butchered that one before. But yeah, thanks for tuning in. We're not in the studio today. We're out in my backyard, basically setting up the pond. And I think I'm just going to be lazy at this point and let the pond pump do the work. I'm already out of breath. So, as I bump the camera, be productively lazy here. Make sure my wild asparagus gets a little bit of extra water, so we'll make sure none of it goes to waste. Just join chat. Playton Animations, thanks for tuning in. I think I said your name right. Gonna get this pump going here. Kind of important to make sure that it's fully submerged in the water, because one thing about these pond pumps is you don't really want... I guess I can scrub my rocks too in the meantime while this thing's pumping. You don't want any air getting in that thing though. So they're obviously not made to pump that. There, we now have the ambient sound of someone peeing in the background. P.S. YouTube, it's not actually someone urinating. Although it really sounds like it. Thanks for tuning in, Siri. I'm not sure how to say your last name. Hopefully I said the first part right, Siri. Good thing I don't have the iPhone. But that's pumping along nicely. What I'll probably end up doing now is just a little bit of rock scrubbing. If I can find my scrub pad. Oh, the pond pump's already struggling. Ah. Curse you, you're almost too effective. At least I'm not tossing things around right now. So I should be somewhat thankful. Try to keep the stream from building up too close to the cell phone. think we're just about done with the pump here. Well, I didn't get to scrub anything, that's okay. Maybe for another day, I do say. Okay, a little bit of bucket slinging, that's not too bad. Still have a bit of dirt down there too. May take another round or two. I don't think I'm gonna get it perfect though. He's outside. Oh, hey girl. Holly. I'm just gonna empty this last bit out here. Hey! Get close, you. Oh. There. Well, now you see, Holly. What's the dog doing? What's the dog doing? Hi. Oh. Miss Holly and her Jolly Molly. Oh. That doesn't count. Not that much for the top down here. Hello. Hello. Emptying the pond we go. Oops. Just touched my earbud there. Oh. Hopefully that's not playing in the background because that's a podcast I generally listen to. That's definitely not YouTube friendly. Listen to a lot of true crime in my off time. Put it that way. Dog. Where is the dog? Hey, Holly girl. Where you going, sweet pea? What's the dog doing? There's the dog. Hi. Here we see a rare glimpse of your Holly in her natural habitat. Here, just a sec. Holly girl. Here we see a rare glimpse of the Holly in her natural habitat. As you can see, she has a ball that she loves to play with. Hey? Hopefully I got that shot. I had no idea where the camera was pointing. There's a Holly bum. Doug. Dog, not Doug. Hey? What's the dog doing? You give me your toy? You want to play? No? Oh, we're not sharing. I see. Yeah. That's the selfie stick, Holly. You guys can't see it, but she's checking the camera out. What's this thing? Whew. We're a little late for our adventure. We usually go much earlier, but I want to get some of this done when there was sunlight out, so I'm going to turn the hose back on, so I'll be right back. empty a few more buckets, and we might actually start filling this thing up. Okay. Actually, not looking too dirty. I've spoken too soon. Back to the mucky. Oh, God. Let that fill up for a little bit, and then we'll probably use the pond pump again. So I tossed my last bucket of pond scum into my honeysuckles. What did you do with the pump is the next question. Oh, there it is. Yeah, the good news is it actually doesn't smell terrible in here anymore. I mean, it's not no spring daisies, but it doesn't smell like the fish anymore. Okay. Doug. I think we've already gotten our requests in for Doug, so if you have any other monsters that you would like to see, now would be a good time to jam those requests in. We've already got your Doug. Doug's on the way, I do say. I think I'm going to be productively lazy here, just kind of leave the hose on with the pump and let that kind of just clear itself out, so maybe we can let this thing naturally flush all that dirt out so I don't have to sling it and break my back anymore. Kong, yeah. He is number 2. I did a community post earlier today as well, so kind of doing a bit of a leaderboard update for lack of a better description. No, that didn't last long. Okay, not that flexible. Yeah, experiencing some technical difficulties. Ugh. Yeah, my plan didn't last very long, as you can tell. But we'll let that fill up for a little bit, and then kick the pump back in. Biolante, that would be cool. I actually have a lot of green plasticine that would work. I mean, seems suitable for springtime to do a Biolante. I think she's about mid-range on the request list. I think she's about 6 or 7 points at this point. Kong's at like 12, 15, give or take. Ooh, Godzilla Final Wars. That would actually be really cool. Like, if I'm not mistaken, that's Heisei era, which is actually one of my favorite Godzilla eras. Gigan. Oh, Gigan would actually be really cool. Mainly because of his, that would be really hard to pull off. But the stomach blades in stop motion, if a person could properly do that, it'd be really cool. Just kind of going through ideas in my head, trying to think how I can make that work. So far, I mean, I could do a bunch of replacement little spikes and do it each time, but that would probably be, ooh, knife head. Okay, we got our first Pacific Rim one. Thanks, Claymationzilla. I know you're a big fan of that. Actually, you should probably watch that movie. I haven't seen that for a long time. I miss Pacific Rim is cool. Kind of sad that never took off as well as some of the other franchises, but things happen, unfortunately. Burning Godzilla 1995. Yes. Yeah, that's a Heisei one. When he's going nuclear. That'd be, I'd probably almost have to make a double project out of that. I have to like make the first Godzilla and then have him slowly transform into Burning Godzilla over time, I think would be the appropriate way to do that one. Or just have one model and then as time progresses with animations, just slowly modify him to make him Burning Godzilla. I don't know. Let me know what you'd like to see. Either one of those ideas I'd be cool with, but I'd probably end up making a model for each in the end. Definitely enjoy adding to my claymation Zilla collection. Someday we'll have probably the entire cast of Godzillas, I would imagine, which would be pretty cool. Might take a few years, but hopefully you guys will be sticking around with me to join on that adventure. Build our own little monster island instead. What's best Godzilla? Mosquitoes are starting to get really bad here. I would say, like, I think as far as power-wise goes, I think Heisei Godzilla, the burning one, when he's going nuclear, is among the most powerful Godzillas, according to a lot of the lore. Whatchamacallit? I can't remember a lot of the tier lists for that, unfortunately. It's been a while since I visited that stuff, but he is among the biggest one, I believe. So, it's kind of why he's one of my favorites, but -1 is definitely really cool. I think that film and that monster were really done appropriately, kind of bringing back the old original meaning of what Godzilla was from 1954, which also happens to hold a good place in my heart too, because honestly, that was a really good film. I mean, obviously, you have to give it some leniency given the fact that it's from 1954, but I personally really enjoyed it, and it actually holds a really good message that generally a lot of films today don't necessarily hit nearly as hard or serve a nearly as good of a purpose, unfortunately, I think is a good way to put it. Not that -1 did a bad job, but if I were to compare the ending of those two films in particular, I did prefer 1954, even though it was sad. It just seemed more realistic. Gamera. Gamera. Actually, I really like Gamera. That's one of Godzilla villains that's I remember watching quite a lot as a kid. Yeah, I mean, Shin Godzilla is probably another one that should be mentioned when it comes to power tier lists, because we never actually got to see the full form. Shin's another probably one of my favorites. I really want to do a claymation version of that one, mainly because I think it would be super cool to have a claymation Shin basically transforming as things go on, but I think he's actually pretty highly requested. I definitely really want to make Shin, I'll put it that way. I think we're gonna have to shut the pond pump off at this point, though. But the good news is my water's nice and clear at this point. So I think now I can kind of just let things fill up. I'll keep the stream going just for a few more minutes here, not too much longer. Mainly because the sun's starting to kind of go down a little bit, and well, I might just grab the selfie stick and take Holly for an adventure here too, or just start a second stream right after this one. We'll see. It actually looks like there might be some nice sunset, so might be a second one ASAP after this, but the mosquitoes are getting pretty bad over here, unfortunately, because of all the pond stuff. So, yeah. If you enjoyed this stream today, I know it's a lot different than what I usually do, but I kind of figured it would be nice to include what how much work kind of goes into even just like the little setup I use for showing off my dinosaurs. Obviously, a lot of scrubbing and real life Minecraft, for lack of a better description, as I'm being eaten alive here. But yeah, so it's not too bad. Kind of something that we generally have to do every year with the pond, unfortunately, but I don't mind it. I like being outside, so. Destroyer! It destroys about mid range tier, too. I definitely would like to make a destroyer. I guess whilst I'd continue the stream here for a few more minutes, I can probably flip the camera around and introduce to you some of my plants. So that's the failed tripod setup. Honestly, if anyone in the comments later on or in the chat here knows what this plant is, I think it's a cherry tree. It's never actually produced anything. It is really pretty though. So I've been giving this one a lot of pond scum for years, trying to get it to produce something, but to no avail. Then that's a honeysuckle. Obviously, no flowers just yet. That comes later in the season. Talked about this stuff earlier on. Here's my little apple tree. You can see a couple little buds in there. Probably the only time the selfie stick's actually being used effectively. See if you can see that bumblebee. We've had a friend kicking around here somewhere. But this is kind of a cool one too. That's an Evans cherry. Kind of ironic considering my name is Evan. These are the Hascat bushes. Talked about those earlier. It's another Evans cherry tree, followed by like an artichoke for birds. And an Evans cherry tree back there. Oh, here's the bumblebee. Ah. Cool. I might have to clip this section later. Honestly, a big fan of bumblebees. I think they're really cute. Wasps, not a fan. Bumblebees, they're cool. Where are you, buddy? I'll put it this way. If bumblebees were just so happened to set up a nest in my backyard, I probably wouldn't be that upset about in retrospect. Wasps, no, you're not staying. Now, we'll venture through my forest a little further. As I mentioned these earlier as well, these are my blueberries. Obviously, not very spectacular at the moment, but basically, they need like a very weird environment to grow up in. I kind of wish I didn't buy these in retrospect because they are annoying to deal with. They only take rainwater, so you can never give them anything, you know, that's not... Oh yeah, you can see a couple buds on there. Will come in focus. Of course not. At least you can see a little makeshift green there. But going on about Gamer Royal, yeah, definitely very interesting. This is definitely not their natural environment. They're more prone to growing in BC, but basically they like to grow alongside spruce trees. They need a very acidic soil, and again, only rainwater and apparently like 60% daylight, which I should probably do some trimming at some point over here because it's getting a little out of hand. And of course, my other Evans cherry tree. And there's another one back there. I think I have about 7 or 8 of those. Quite a few. But yes. This kind of concludes my pond tour / live stream. Hello, Lego Maki Kid. Biggest fan. Yeah, we're kind of setting up my dinosaur environment today. See if I can, whatchamacallit, get my waterfalls going. Might be the last thing I do here, just for the stream purposes. Actually, I could keep the... Which camera am I going to stay on? Meeny, meeny, miny, mo. Now these haven't been going since the springtime, so yes, this is like my little dinosaur habitat. Probably end up doing a little bit more pond streaming. Next one might be very short, for lack of a better description, but we'll probably have to wait about a week before the chlorine and all that scum has basically kind of settled out of the water. This is not an easy thing to set up. I apologize for the jankiness, everyone. I'm just going to turn things around. Slightly easier this way. But yeah, I have to wait about a week for all the water to kind of clear out properly of all the chemicals and other things that it kind of comes with, unfortunately. Probably end up cutting the hose off here pretty soon and filling as much up as I can with rainwater. But for my fishy's sake, I'll probably still end up waiting about a week before we set them free. Now, fun fact, this setup here is a little UV light. This will kind of help keep your algae down to a minimum, because basically algae does not like sunlight. So when it's running through your entire filter, or your filter and pump setup there, this just acts as like an extra security to help keep things nice and clear. Usually not that expensive either. I think I paid about $80 for this one. It's a tangled mess from hanging out in my basement. Twisted here because one of the few times that I actually can do it. Yeah, probably best I do get my waterfalls going before I take off here, because water that sits still, mosquitoes tend to lay eggs in, and I don't want a mosquito nest. That being said, the fishies would probably eat a lot of them too, but they're not going to be in here for a while, so it's just best to always have a constant flow or stream that's not just sitting there. So, hence basically doing a little waterfall setup, which my dinosaur slash birdie friends just so happen to like a lot as well, because you use it as little bird baths. There we go. And I plug in my UV light, and that pretty much concludes the setup. So there we are, guys. I'll turn the camera around here so you can get a slightly better view. Oh. But yeah, here we go. Pond is now officially running. I'll probably do a little bit of waterfall adjustments there, but not too much. So yeah. Thanks, playing Crashzilla. I'm glad you like it. I definitely enjoy this space. I think one thing that's on my shopping list this summer is getting a hammock, because having naps by the pond sounds like a good time, to be honest. And my fishies always seem to actually really appreciate this too, so yeah. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Be sure to smash the like button if you did. A lot different than what we normally do, but I figured I'd kind of include it for all of you, because this is the natural habitat of my claymation dinosaurs, usually upon completion. Thanks, Lego Kid. I'm glad you like it. Actually, kind of, my whole family has a bunch of ponds, so yeah, I've grown up pretty much doing this kind of stuff. So yeah, if you appreciate all this, you know, pretty scenery and all the hard work that goes into it, smash the like button, comment below what you think, share with friends, and all that other self-promoting jazz. But I think it's time to take my Holly girl for her adventure. So, yeah, I think that's enough for me. Till next time, take it easy. We'll probably have another stream with the fish at some point being set free. It'll be very short, I'll admit, but yeah. Maybe we'll have a couple dinosaurs hang out here and do a questionnaire or have a fire sometime. So, yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Anyway, see you later.